our live stream. I'm Andrew James.
I'm Juli-Anne James.
And we are
LoveJames.
We wanted to come on to do a live stream today because this is the first day. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's. Happy Valentine's Day.
And we wanted to share. Mute that. Sorry.
It's not on.
Yeah, it is. Good.
Okay.
We wanted to come on and share, I guess, our thoughts, some feedback that we've already gotten from some people who've been listening to the podcast, which we're extremely grateful for.
Well, do we first need to say that we launched a podcast today?
Well, this is it, right? Hopefully, if you're on the live stream, you probably had an idea because you've seen it on our page.
Yeah.
Our page is that we launched our podcast today, LoveJames, which is about marriage, love, relationships,
and everything in between. Yeah.
And we just wanted to come on and kind of talk about why we wanted to do it, and also wanted to encourage you to listen to episode 1. We have a season that we're going to be releasing a new episode every week.
Yep.
And we've had some pretty cool feedback already.
So far,
some people have been listening to it.
So far, so good.
And if you want to join the conversation, even now, you can just
type in your questions. We've got our executive producer in the house, Tristan Barrett.
Yes. Hey, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys are staying warm on this cold
No, you
February.
can't say cold. It's frigid.
Yes, it's very frigid.
Pretty cold.
But like these two beautiful people were saying to you, I am behind the camera because I am helping to produce the show, and I am very excited to be curating all of your questions as well as some of your comments. So please, if you have any questions, comments, hit us up right in the comments section. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, LoveJames, why did we start this?
Because we love talking about love, and we love love, and we're in love.
Are we? I love you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. You know we don't do Valentine's Day like that.
I know.
Keep it real.
Yeah, well, like we said, actually, in the first episode, we started a young adult group conversation many years ago, and relationships was always
a hot topic.
Yeah. Right. We always came back to talking about relationships. And when we started talking about relationships, friends would tell friends and friends would tell friends. And then the room would be filled with all these young adults.
And lots of good perspective.
Yeah. Wanting to know, what about, relationships. And I say on the show, we're not...
No, you actually do say that
we're experts. Well, this is it, right? They say it's 10,000 hours,
Yeah.
right? To become an expert. That's what they say. Whoever they is.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
We should trust them.
We should trust they. Definitely. Always trust they. And I think, we have an interesting and unique relationship or history. 7 years of friendship. Mind you, the very first time that I spoke to her, met her, I was like, I think this might be the woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. But that was a crazy thought to have after a very first, one conversation.
7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years later.
Insert the SpongeBob graphic.
7 years later.
Yeah. Scene 2.
7 years later, and many or few relationships that we had, other relationships outside of us, and kind of supporting each other as friends through those relationships, right? We built a genuine friendship that wasn't based on pursuing each other to be romantically involved. It was really like, I really respect you as a person, and I like you as a person, as a friend, and I want to be there for you while you're dating this guy from the Bahamas that I don't really think is good for you.
Okay, come on now.
That's too specific?
Yes.
Too specific?
People are out there on Facebook.
There's lots of people in Bahamas. Lots of people
only
in Bahamas.
Andrew would do that, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Right. But
what have I done?
Yeah. I mean, I was in a few relationships too that she was supporting me in and encouraging me in, and I'm
not gonna name any locations.
No.
Saga girls.
and then we came to a point where I guess I realized, because she always realized. And what did you tell your mom? You told your mom.
I said to my mom, I don't know if my mom remembers this. Mom, do you remember this? I said to my mom, whether I marry him or not, I know that Andrew James is supposed to be my husband. So,
and it was crazy because like we were not in a relationship at all.
No, we weren't.
Right. So.
Yeah. But I think, our journey has also led us through, I mean, you pastored for 6 years, almost 7 years, at a local church. And that led us to premarital counseling and some marital counseling. And I think that has given us a unique perspective because we get to be voyeurs, into other people's relationships and other people's lives. And, we've gained a lot from those experiences as well. So I think it only adds to our own experience. And I think some of the challenges that are common, are things we just want to start the conversation about, put those things out there. I mean, we, just in ourselves, I don't think we can cover every topic from an experiential place.
Absolutely.
But if we can get the conversation started and people can, weigh in, and you can feel free to add your perspective to the conversation, then we can all, talk about it, and people can get to see that they're not alone in some of the challenges that come with relationships and marriage.
Yeah.
And,
I think the bottom line. Okay.
I think you guys are just super dope and interesting. I think that you guys are one of the few married folk and just people that are in relationships that are in a relationship that actually are what you say you are. You know what I mean? A lot of people try and front and say this is how my relationship is, and it really isn't that. And the one thing I respect about you guys is that you guys are really consistent, both in the challenging moments and in the good moments. And that's something that I just respect. And I'm excited for the rest of the world to be able to get a glimpse into both of your perspectives together on relationships, on marriage, and also for people to be able to ask questions and engage with you guys. Because I think you guys have a boatload of information and resources in you.
Yeah.
Wow, I appreciate that.
Appreciate that so
a
much.
lot. And at the end of the day, this is really about facilitating a conversation so that we all can gain perspective.
Yeah, that's key, because
right.
I think we don't necessarily have answers,
right?
But we definitely have a unique perspective that I think can help.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we want to share. And we also want to hear from other people, from your experience, your perspective, so we can help the collective.
We've already gotten some emails from people who've been listening today.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you to go to or email us at podcast at
thejameses.ca.
thejameses.ca.
JAMESES.ca.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
or you can visit our website, thejameses.ca, and click on the podcast logo. It'll take you to a page where you can actually submit an anonymous question or comment.
Yeah.
So don't be cruel now.
Yes.
But
Please don't be cruel.
But be honest. Yeah. But be honest and share. And we make it anonymous so you can feel free to be vulnerable. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully be taking those questions or comments and finding a way to
address them. Maybe we can pop on a live and answer some of the questions or speak about some of the challenges, so that you don't have to wait until the next episode to have your question answered or get your response.
Well, let me ask you guys, what should we as listeners expect out of this first season?
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
tools. So our first episode is more kind of an overview.
Yeah, it introduces us. It introduces our fabulous executive producer, and it touches on some foundational things and our foundational perspectives that we have about marriage and relationships. But I think the primary focus of the first season has kind of been what does it take to make a great relationship or a great marriage. So we've talked about a few key things that we feel are fundamental to making sure that your relationships are strong, whether those are marriage relationships or other types of relationships, in families or in friendships. So I think you can look forward to, our perspective on what it takes to make a great relationship.
Yeah. And you can also look forward to other couples that we've, couple other shows that we have other couples and their experiences and their story and their perspective, right? And our dialogue together, hopefully from that will give you some more tools and some more perspective. But yeah, it's good to hear from different voices as well.
And single people shouldn't feel left out.
Absolutely.
Because we do talk a lot about what sorts of things you need to be thinking about before you say I do, or before you get involved in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And when you do get involved in that relationship, what are some of the things that you need to be aware of and looking out for, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because when you're dating,
we have some thoughts on dating.
yeah, when you're dating, you're so, Valentine's Day and I love you and hearts and chocolate and flowers, which is good.
You're being very, very nice.
I am.
There's a lot of people that are boom, chicka boom, boom.
Dealing with other things. Yeah, well, that's the after party, right? But but you're not really thinking about living life with somebody and all of their
finances,
hang-ups and issues and finances and the challenges of life and
raising kids.
And so if you're single, listening to this podcast will help you to think about some things that you should be looking for when you're looking for somebody,
and things that you should be running away from.
Things that you should be running away from as well, right?
I also think, like, as a single individual, I'm not single. I'm married. I've been married for 10 years to a wonderful lady.
Congratulations. That's something to celebrate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. 10 years for this generation is like 50 for our previous.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would say to all the single folks out there, this podcast is really, I think it's for you even more, because it's really about giving a real perspective on marriage and giving you the tools to now measure yourself against, in terms of how prepared you are to take that next step and to ask critical questions. Even with some of the episodes that are coming, there are some questions that you guys ask that are phenomenal, and I'm like, I wish I had asked myself that, the single version of Tristan.
We do too. Yeah. That's why we're having the conversation.
Absolutely. No, there were some conscious mistakes that I made.
Conscious mistakes. Wow. Yeah.
No, super
That's
conscious
powerful.
mistakes. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't subconscious. It was just conscious. I was awake and aware that I was making this choice, knowing that it wasn't the best choice for me. And it delayed, an amazing relationship that I could have had begun a while ago, which then, because of that time, I had more junk now to work out and work through when we got together, you know what I mean? Whereas if if I had made those choices that I knew before, I might have saved a little bit of time and saved a little bit of work, a little bit of heartache, a little bit of, but, and so that's why we want to have the show, so that we can equip people. But at the same time, if you're in the middle of something that seems to be getting funky, we want to be able to,
snap you out of it,
because listen, nothing is ever too far gone. And nothing is ever wasted.
We're eternal optimists.
Absolutely. And so the challenges that maybe you've been facing for the last 10, 15 years that maybe you probably didn't even talk about, or maybe you didn't even know, you just wake up and you're unhappy and you can reset that, right? Because in my mind, this is the way I think. Like Juli-Anne's parents, my mom, before she passed away, my parents were married for 46 years. And Juli-Anne's parents are
going on 52 this year.
Going on 52 years. Okay. So in my mind, that's the standard for me, right? I'm going 50 years, right?
That's 98 years combined.
Combined, right? So if 50 is the standard and I'm in year 10, right? And it's been, say it's been funky for 10 years.
Yeah.
If I could work at getting this thing right, I'll have 40 years of a good marriage.
Yeah.
And
if you don't give up too soon.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. It's about the percentage at the end.
Yeah.
Right. But you're never going to get to that percentage at the end if you're not willing to put in the work necessary to, to make things better. And this is, one of the things we talked about in the first episode.
Yeah, it's doing your part, and not focusing so intensely on the other person and what they need to do and what they need to fix and what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
But how do I contribute to this issue?
Absolutely.
Right. And what can I adjust to enable that other person to become aware of that.
So folks, we got quite a few people online.
Hey guys.
We have between about 8 to 11 people jumping on.
Hey.
Viewers.
Thanks
we really
for tuning
appreciate
in.
it. If you're liking the conversation so far, please give us a thumbs up or a like or a love. Also consider sharing.
A love would be
the
perfect
stream.
for LoveJames.
Definitely consider
share.
sharing the stream, and also too, we're here to answer and take some of your questions. Okay, so I mean, again, we're going to be here for the next 15 to 20 minutes, and we're having a real open, candid conversation. We're also celebrating the fact that we have just launched our podcast today on Valentine's Day. Love James.
You know what I want to say?
How perfect is that?
As we say that, I want to say, I just want to like really publicly acknowledge and big up Tristan Barracks, because
Foghorn, everything.
you know, super talented guy, and you know, if you know him, he goes by the digital storyteller, and
that he is.
I've always viewed that digital storytelling as visual because that's what his medium was, right? And this past year, he launched his own podcast, Story Over Everything. Go check that out on all platforms. It's fantastic season of amazing stories.
And by the way, in that podcast, I do introduce myself. You'll get the joke
when you listen to the first episode.
And you know, he began using a different medium to tell stories. Right. And I was like, man, this guy's not just like, this is really, you know, he's really a digital storyteller.
He's really gifted. Yeah.
And so he comes to us. He's like, listen, you guys got to do a podcast. And, you know, many people have said, you guys got to do this. And we're trying to figure out
ways. And we're always
ways.
like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Yeah. And then he just comes over with all of this
microphones
stuff and drops it here, puts it on the desk and says, okay,
record.
Right. And really just, you know, equipped us to
get it out.
Right. And then he takes the content back and he edited the first show and he sent it back. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And we were pretty blown away.
Like, wow. Like, this is amazing. Like, when I say this is amazing, I meant that like you took, you know, just
all our rambling.
Yeah. and
told a
put
story.
Together amazing show. And I'm just like, thank you. So I just want to say thank you so much for who you are, for believing in, you know, this.
Yeah.
For thinking that this is something that is worth putting the energy into, to get out there to share with others. And at the end of the day, if, you know, one person is like, hey, you know what, this really helped my marriage, or this really
my relationship.
Helped my relationship, or
saved me from getting into a wrong situation,
then it was all worth it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you know,
I just want to say, if you're hearing screaming kids, it gets real in here.
Absolutely.
Our life is real.
And I want to acknowledge Tina from Shelburne. She says, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Which is amazing. Thank
happy
you so
Valentine's
much.
Day to you too.
Charmaine JD says, hey.
Sharpsy.
Just want to acknowledge. And we have, excuse me if I butcher your name, but it's Tunde.
Tunde.
There you go. She put up prayer. They put up prayer hands just to say, you know,
love you guys. That's fam.
Thank
there.
You.
Power team. Tina says power team.
Yeah.
She says power team.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yes. So those are some of the comments that are coming in right now.
Oh, that's super supportive. You know what? Like, this is the first thing that, like, we're putting us.
I am certainly putting myself out there in a way that I am not comfortable with.
You
I
know?
think you both know that.
Yeah, and not just us as in like our faces, but like who we are.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's amazing and liberating to be able to do it with Juli-Anne, because if I did it by myself, I just probably wouldn't feel like, you know, we did a show together, Tristan and I, a while back,
it was missing the Juli-Anne sprinkle.
It was missing the Juli-Anne sprinkle, and it was me, but it wasn't me, you know. And I feel like this show
fully you.
Is absolutely fully me, and I'm like, just, I love you, and again, like, I love the fact that we're doing this together, and you know, I mean, all the other projects that we're doing together in life is like together, and I think that's what really contributes to
a strong relationship.
Yeah, I mean, because we both work from home, so we see each other every single day.
Yeah.
Right. And all the kids are in school now. We got 3 girls, 8, 6, and 4, and so the last one just went into kindergarten this year. So now we're home alone in the day,
and much more productive, I would say.
Super productive. But it's like, we go for break together.
Yeah.
We go for lunch together.
Go grab lunch. Yeah.
And it's it really, I think it helps us to be in that continual communication.
Yeah.
And we call each other out. You know what I mean? Like if she sees me doing something that's maybe outside of my character, she'll call me out on it, right? And if I see her in a funky mood, I'm gonna say, "What's up?" And I think being in close proximity really
it forces you to
us
be honest
with each other,
vulnerable, and all
to
of
talk
those good
about
things.
everything.
I have a question for Juli-Anne.
Yeah.
What motivates you to stay engaged in marriage?
Wow, that's a pretty big one. What motivates me to stay engaged in marriage? I would say, and this kind of is connected to a question that came in to us yesterday, which was, I think, the person who referred to themselves as a lover of happiness. That was the name that they used. So shout out to a lover of happiness. And the question was sort of like, how do you keep a marriage spicy after 10 years plus? And they said, and I don't mean sexually. So I was kind of thinking about that, and it kind of relates to your question, because I think purpose is a really useful anchor, right? I think a lot of what excites us is all of those things that we have given birth to besides our kids, because our kids don't belong to us in the end, right? So all of the things that we give birth to and give life to that will last far beyond us, but will be, I often think of when we are dead and gone, what will people say about Andrew and Juli-Anne James? And to me, that's a comforting thought, and a thought that keeps me anchored, and a thought that keeps me excited, because for me, it's very much about legacy. And I think my mother's example, and my mother today chastised me because she said, "Why do you keep mentioning my name in your podcasts and things?" And I said, "Because you're my hero." So you're my hero, Mom. But her example was, she married my dad. And when I look back on her example, I feel like my mother really helped my father establish his legacy, the legacy of his name. My father accomplished many, many great things, and my mother wasn't necessarily involved in the fine details of it like I am in the fine details of everything that we are working on. But her support, her silent support, she is the unsung hero of our family. And so that is the example, and those are the shoulders that I stand on as a wife.
So she's like Denzel's wife.
Yes.
Paulette.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm a little bit more like Michelle. I like to think Michelle Obama, right? Because I'm right up front right there, and
Absolutely.
I'm like calling Barack out on his stuff, right? But that excites me. It excites me. We have 3 daughters, and it excites me that they will have a similar story, and they'll be able to say, my parents were married for 52 years or, 60 years or 70 years, God willing. And it will help them to be anchored in their own marriages and relationships. So I think about all of those things. For me, it's not just in the everyday, how I feel. It's really about, the legacy after I'm gone.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so just to tie in to the question, I think what keeps it spicy, and what I take
Exciting.
from that, exciting,
Yeah.
is the joint purpose that we share.
Yeah.
The joint purpose and the excitement of the challenges, facing the challenges together, and overcoming each, valley and each obstacle together. I think that keeps us like tight. It keeps us like
we're always anticipating, so it keeps us, looking forward.
And it keeps us accountable to each other. And I think, that accountability and that close knit relationship is what really keeps us like in love.
Yeah.
I was reading a book, and it's actually, everybody should read it. It's called Finish It. And
did you finish it?
No, I didn't. So but you know what? The book's still good. But
so far, it's really
but
riveting.
the
The chapters in that book, I just went through the table of contents, and I was like, this is incredible.
It's incredible. It's incredible. But one of the, this is Tristan Barracks, by the way, the digital storyteller. For those of you that are just coming on.
Who's that voice? It's God.
Yeah.
No. Tristan Barracks is here.
Tristan's talking.
He's our executive.
And by the way, if you guys are watching this on a replay, you're watching this somewhere else, you've downloaded this live stream, please hit in the comments, just let us know where you're watching it from, where you're listening from, and just type in #replay with the location of where you're from, because we really want to stay connected with you and stay engaged with you. But that being said, the principle or the point that the author was making in the book was that there are certain things that you need to get done and accomplished that you have to make fun.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a level of intentionality to being able to understand that certain things need to be completed. Right. So in order for me to complete whatever task it is, a video or a proposal, I have to make it. Sometimes I have to trick my brain into making it fun in order for me to complete the task. And I think a lot of times in marriage, you got to do that in order to keep it spicy and keep it fresh.
Yeah, purpose and intention.
I'd also say, because one of the other thoughts I had when we got that question was, you really have to nurture a healthy curiosity about the person that you're with or that you're married to, or, and you're in that long-term relationship with. You can't really take it for granted that the way you are is the way you are, and it's the way you're always going to be. And I know everything there is to know about you. You really have to stay curious about the other person. You really have to stay observant about the other person, and actually have conversations about, I noticed, like the other day you said to me, I noticed that when you're singing a song, or you kind of go ahead of the beat just so you can show that you know the lyrics to the song. And I was like, do I do that? And it made me think about that. But it shows that you're still curious and observant about the little things about me. So I think you have to be curious and observant about the little things about your partner.
Yeah, that's good. I think also,
and that's a choice you've got to make.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And they always say gratitude and gratefulness and appreciation for life every day is what keeps you optimistic and open to what amazing thing is there next. And I think that's the way I kind of view you in our relationship, right? Is that I'm excited for what's next. And I think that keeps us energized.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, be purposeful about laughing. Like, people ask me, laughing is my answer for everything. Laughter is my answer for everything. Someone says to me, what's your skincare routine? Laughter. How do you guys, keep it real? Laughter. How do you guys have a strong marriage? Laughter. Because, it's important not to take yourselves so seriously and not to go down this rabbit hole of, my challenges are forever going to be my challenges, and I'll never be able to solve this, and I'll never be able to resolve this, and we'll never get past this. If you go down there, like, one of the amazing things that you do is when I get upset at you, you crack a joke, and I really just cannot help it. But it's so good because it breaks you out of that mindset of, tension and angst. Yeah. So laugh.
I never want to take things too seriously, and I don't mean it like I make everything into a joke, but
just most things.
Just the important things.
Just everything in life.
Like, there's too many people, I think, we talked about this in the first episode, that are not willing to be vulnerable enough. And so while I was dating you, I had to put on a persona in order to get you.
I was about to say, we never dated.
Well, the analogy.
Yeah.
And then now I'm in the marriage, and I think I might have to keep this up, because if this person really sees who I am, then they're going to leave me.
Yeah.
And so I'm all serious because I'm trying to, pretend.
Yeah.
And I think if you just relax a little bit and be like, hey, like,
then they'll be like, oh, you're human? I'm human too. So thank God.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it makes things a little bit lighter, because when you really think about it, like when the kids, get upset about little things, I always remind them, I'm like, that there's other parts of this world that kids can't even go outside to play because there's just war.
Yeah.
And like, we should really put that into perspective, and I think about, I don't need to get so bent out of shape over things that maybe one conversation or me sharing how I really feel about something that you said about me can just melt all of the tension away.
Yeah, I think sometimes the challenge is if your marriage is only about you,
Yeah.
like in your mind,
Yeah.
you will always have issues.
That's good.
Right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And even both people, if in both our minds, our marriage is only about us, or even if we have that unspoken agreement that our marriage is only about us, then it's very challenging. If your partnership is about something greater than yourselves,
That's
then
good.
those things that happen naturally in every relationship will not overwhelm you, and it will not overwhelm the relationship, because you'll know that there's something else greater that depends on us working it out.
Yeah.
I dare I say,
I like that.
throw out just, and I don't want to give away too much of the podcast, the first episode, because the first episode, for those of you that have not listened to it yet, you guys are missing it right now. It's there's full of gems. But the one point I think you guys said, which kind of blew my mind and was really, really stood out to me, was the whole merger idea.
Yeah.
Can you guys touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. You were saying, you shared that.
Yeah. For whatever age you are before you get married, that many years before that point, you've been doing everything for yourself. So if you are an entity, you were, boy Inc. or young
Girl
man Inc., girl Inc., all your choices and your decisions were for the benefit of that business, your business, right?
Yeah.
But now you're getting married, and it's not just about you. So
You're merging your corporation with my corporation.
yeah,
And we were saying in the episode that there are redundancies. We don't need 2 marketing departments. We don't need, 2 HR departments. So we
now
kind
we
of have to determine, what we're going to take with us to this new entity. And we also have to think about what is in the best interest of that new.
It's so good.
Yeah,
every choice
entity.
and every decision now is about boy, girl, Inc.
Yeah.
Not just boy
Yeah.
Inc. or
Yeah.
girl Inc.
Yeah.
Right? It's what's
So
the
good.
best decision that we, and when you think like that, right? When I come outside of just thinking for me, I know that my choice is going to be different.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like when you think about your family, right? You think about your kids, right? Or you think about your health, or you think about whatever. You're like, when you really think about it, you're like, you know what? I think the best choice would actually be this.
Yeah.
And you're okay with making that choice because you recognize it's for the benefit of the team.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, that was the thought on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, again, and we'll probably say this many, many times over. Marriage is, who wants to be the best version of themselves? Say me, right?
Me.
Most people recognize that their life is a growth. It's an evolution, and that every day you want to be a better version of yourself. And I believe that marriage challenges you to become, if you let it,
Yes.
to become that better version of yourself.
If you let it is key.
If you let it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a comment. I have it's a pretty long comment, but I'll try to shorten as much as I can. From Tina. Tina said, in capitals, excited about what is to come in my marriage, but in capitals again, interested in what is happening today in my marriage. Feel like I can't live for what's to come, or I will miss what's happening right now, which is a big, big point. I really like that point.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And I don't know if she's speaking to when we were talking about like having a goal to work towards, right?
Yeah.
But I see, I like that comment because Juli-Anne keeps me focused on today. Because if not, I'm way too focused on
Down the road.
And I'm like missing
Yeah.
today,
Come back.
right?
You got to visit the present sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think a good marriage has that balance. Maybe there's a days that she's down the road. I'm like, hey, come on back.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy right now, and let's enjoy today. So definitely appreciate that comment.
Yeah,
that
I think as a general rule, you really have to strive every day to do what is right, what feels right. And when I say what feels right, I mean what feels right for the merger, the merged organization. And I think we talk about this a lot in the first episode, self-awareness, right? So if you're able to feel yourself sometimes going down the road or not being present in the moment, or if you feel like you are getting stuck in the moment, then you really have to take a beat and see if you can look forward, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And encourage yourself. It's like one of the things that we talk about is seasons in the first episode. And I think you just need to have an awareness that the present moment is not forever.
Right.
So whether it's a challenging moment or it's a really great moment, you know how to govern yourself. So if it's a challenging moment, you encourage yourself that this challenge is not going to last forever, right? And if it's a really great moment, you can stop and appreciate it, right? And really be vocal and communicate your appreciation for the great moment, right? And every day you kind of have to do that dance of, wow, you know,
Yeah.
this is a great moment. And you sow into what is good and you encourage yourselves,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes it may take you saying to your partner, hey, you know what? I know we're in a challenging spot, but this is not going to be forever. I know we're going to get through this. And even that can deflate some of the tension and the anxiety and the angst and set you on the path towards the next great moment, right?
We have more comments coming in.
Sure.
Althea says, "Love this best explanation about starting out on your new journey together. Merger of corporations from Boy Inc. and Girl Inc.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So thank you for that
Thanks
comment,
for that
Althea.
comment, Althea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great
Oh,
conversation.
it's Alethea.
Yeah, Alethea. Sorry,
Totally different person.
Oh,
Alethea, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, we got 9 people watching right now. They got
Hey,
tons
guys.
of questions. Yeah, let us know what your questions are. We would love to know that.
Yeah.
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 This is
And your
great.
feedback. That's great.
Yeah. And you know what? Again, like we say, I think we enjoy having conversations with our parents. And, you know,
Totally value that wisdom.
yeah, huge. And I think a lot of, you know, what we put into our toolkit comes from the conversations that we have, even with
Old
you know,
school love.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And but you know, there's a different mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It even translates into individuals. Like, you know, are the previous generation work ethic when it came to jobs
Yeah.
different, you know?
Loyalty, commitment,
Loyalty, commitment.
the value of your
faithful.
word.
Absolutely. And I think as society, you know, progresses, that
Let's not say progresses because that implies forward movement. Let's say evolves.
evolves, okay?
Yeah. We're
Some of those
losing
values,
a lot of those. Yeah.
you know, those values are lost. And I think because of that, it just makes sometimes marriage challenging.
Mhm.
I think that we live in a world now where we're more connected than ever before, but we're less relational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the skill and the art of being digitally connected has replaced the skill and the art of actually being relational.
That's good.
And to actually connect with people, like on a human level.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's that struggle there of now, if we're developing those tools from the time that we're kids now,
Yeah.
and our kids are developing those sort of skills, what sort of skills are they bringing into their relationships?
That's
yeah,
good,
I will
right?
just say right here at
That's
this
good.
point that if you're 20 something and you're hoping to be married, you cannot text your way or DM your way into a strong marriage.
But you know what? But the funny thing
You
is,
cannot.
most of the pickup lines now. I mean, back in the day, you know, if you went to the club or you went to whatever church or roller skating or whatever else, you would have to walk up to the girl and ask her
actually
for a number.
face that potential rejection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but a part of that was like, the rejection was a part of building up your
Yeah.
self-esteem and say, hey, I got to do this.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I can just follow you on Instagram, right?
Yeah. And
DM
slip into your DMs.
Yeah, slip
Yeah.
into the DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can't. That does not make for a strong relationship. You really have to be articulate
Yeah.
when it comes down to it. I mean, the DMs might get you so far.
Right.
The texting might get you so far. But when you actually are in the position where you have to live a life and build a life with someone,
Yeah.
you cannot rely on even the language of texting and DMing
Yeah.
and, you know, the notion that it's almost like a lazy form of communication.
And this is it. And it causes you then to become emotionally lazy.
And illiterate, emotionally illiterate.
And then therefore you can't articulate your feelings and communicate.
You can't even identify your feelings.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, for me, one of the things I constantly do with my kids is I tell them to look me in the eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not because I want to intimidate them or anything, but I think that there's a disconnect when you don't look at somebody in the eye.
Absolutely.
You don't read their facial expressions, their micro expressions, their body language. You're losing out on a whole chunk of communication that has nothing to do with, you know, the vocabulary that's coming out of your mouth.
Absolutely.
And I'll just say this also on the topic of kids and communicating and all of that. I read a long time ago, or I heard a long time ago from Iyanla Vanzant, the notion of, you know, when you're looking at your phone, and I don't do this perfectly. I mean, it's something that I try to work on all the time with the kids or with Andrew. If you're on a cell phone and someone's talking to you and you're kind of looking down at your cell phone, she said it's an act of violence against that person's soul, because I'm not connecting with you when you're trying to speak to me about something. So the message that you're getting or the message that you're giving is that what you have to say is not important enough to me that I will put my phone down or look away from the TV. And so I think, you know, when you think about our parents being married for the number of years that they have been, like just collectively the three of us, it's those are challenges that they did not necessarily have, because they didn't have all of the distractions that we have, and they didn't have all these things that get in the way of you really focusing on doing the work of communicating with one another.
That's good.
This is just a thought, and I mean, this is something we can chew on as a community for those that are watching, as well as you know, for you and Juli-Anne and Andrew. But I almost feel like our parents, as much as our parents got married, they didn't marry for love.
No, absolutely.
But then they mastered the art of love.
Yeah.
Whereas our generation, we marry, quote unquote, for love, but we don't do the work to master the art of love.
Or to nurture love.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or to cultivate it.
Yeah. No,
And we talk about that in the first episode when I share, you know, my perspective on my parents' relationship and the fact that I don't think that they married for love, but they married for the fact that their values aligned. Like, I think my father saw in my mother a woman who had strong values and, you know, upbringing. We really should interview my parents, I think, if I'm going to keep invoking their relationship.
It's funny. Both of you said the word that's been in my mind is work.
Yeah.
And I think anything that's worth having is going to be hard. It's going to be work.
Challenging. I don't like hard.
No.
Yeah.
Challenging work. And this generation sometimes, and you know, I say this generation, but like, you know, we're on the cusp, I believe, of like the old versus the new. Like, we're in the middle bridge, like our era. Yeah. And I feel like it's that work. It's like, I just don't feel like doing that work. Yeah. You know, and if I do feel like doing the work, like, I'll work at it today, and then by the end of the day, I would love for it to be resolved.
Yeah. We don't know how to wait, because we're Insta everything.
Right. And so, like,
I blame microwaves.
Yeah. Right. Microwave did it.
Microwave started all of it.
Absolutely. You can't have anything, a relationship that's worth it, if you're not willing to work at it.
Yeah. And a lot of the work is self-work. We really have to say that, because as when we said the word challenge, challenging, I got an image in my mind of so many young women that I know who, if you challenged them, you know, with a thought or, you know, something that they found offensive, they would be quick to give you a neck roll and a snap and like be all up in your face and, you know, address that challenge. But when it comes to the emotional work that needs to be done on the self, those challenges are like, no, it's okay. I'm just gonna not do that work. I'm gonna ignore that. I'm not gonna snap back at that challenge. You know, to myself. Yeah,
and that's vulnerability, right?
It's what it takes. Yeah, that's what it takes. Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been a great conversation. We have about 5 more minutes left. Is there any final comments that you want to make? And also, for those of you that are listening and watching, first of all, live, we can take a couple more questions or comments. And for those of you that are watching the replay, please type in #replay and let us know where you're watching it from. And we would love to stay connected with you.
Yeah, and if you have any comments, we will try to get to those and address them at a later time.
Yeah, I just really want to encourage people, you know, that we want this to be a conversation. We don't want to talk at anyone. We really want to talk to everyone. So, I encourage you as you listen, if something comes to mind, just, it doesn't even have to be a question. If it's just a comment or,
And if you want to challenge us.
Absolutely.
And our perspective.
Because we have a lot of thoughts that are just like so not conventional.
Yeah,
we're going to get into that.
And, we have no apologies about those.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Because it's just one perspective,
exactly.
Right?
And you want to challenge those, and we're open to that too.
Yeah.
We want to, allow other people to gain from that perspective that you might have, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
We're looking to make it a real 360 conversation. So please, visit the website, thejameses.ca/LoveJames, and email us, podcast@thejameses.ca.
And make sure that you stay connected. We have forums. We have different platforms.
Follow the Facebook page.
You can follow us on the Facebook page. You can follow us on Instagram. You can also make sure that you can share the podcast page. Both the Anchor. We'll put the Anchor link into the comment section, but also we'll be on Spotify. We're actually on Spotify now. We're going to be on iTunes, Google Podcasts, all the major platforms. So definitely,
and the minor ones,
and the minor ones too.
Yeah.
So do share this with other friends and family. Pass this along through social, and we promise you that you'll definitely get a lot out of it. And even if you don't get a lot out of it, you'll get something to chew on that will challenge you.
You will laugh. You will laugh at least once.
We got one more question. We got one more question here. All right, question is from Tunde. Question is, pardon?
Tunde.
Okay, Tunde. Why do you believe fewer and fewer people are getting married today?
Yeah, we talk about that in the first episode of the podcast. I think people are, well, not exactly that. We talk about the fact that people are getting into marriage with kind of the wrong intentions. But I think, there's a lot of cynicism, and I've seen it today especially. There've been so many people on my timeline, and I have to say particularly men, who probably feel under the pressure of Valentine's Day, right? There's a lot of cynicism about relationships, and I think it's because people go through a lot of emotional trauma in relationships, or have witnessed or have lived with people who have gone through a lot of emotional trauma in relationships. And so they become really cynical about whether or not you can really have a successful, strong marriage. And I think people just have abandoned the idea that it's worth it to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's part of the reason why we want to have this conversation. And, what motivates us to talk about it and to be transparent about our own experience is because we believe so much that it is still worth it, to do it, because it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I'll just say two comments to that. I think the institution of marriage has lost its value.
Yeah.
I think media and society have
cheapened it.
They've created a model of marriage, of roles, of a man and a woman. They've painted those roles. They've instilled those roles in our mind that, we
feel boxed into those roles.
Yeah. Fred Flintstone, Al Bundy, Homer Simpson,
Peter Griffin,
right? That men are Neanderthals who only think about sex,
who are not smart,
or not
to be respected,
not articulate in their emotions and their feelings and all those different things. And so subconsciously men become that.
Subconsciously women adopt those views about men.
So then they have those views about men. They don't have that respect, that regard. Men don't have a respect and regard for women. They treat them like objects.
Yeah.
They treat, the men are players, men are dogs, right?
And so we evaluate other people based on what we think their capacity to meet our needs, is. And so when we observe each other and we're like, doesn't look like you can do that. So
not really worth it to get married. I can't really find anybody that's, whatever. And so it's becoming now like you have to be countercultural in your thinking and in your approach, and you need to find somebody who's on that same page. And there's beauty in the unity of marriage.
There's beauty in the challenges, honestly.
There is beauty in the challenges. It really helps you to grow as an individual, and it's for us, from our perspective, it's a great environment when done at its best, for developing balanced beings.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely agree with both the thoughts that you guys had. I think I would just throw in there that we do live in a society now that values self more than community.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
And marriage, and I would even say self more than sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know, marriage requires you to sacrifice yourself, requires you to tame your own desires for yourself alone, and that's really a hard ask in this sort of environment. And that's not just me pointing the finger at everybody else, it's me pointing the finger at myself and saying that those are appetites that I have to learn how to control.
Yeah.
Right. And some people don't want to control it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, hey, listen.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Good stuff right there.
We hope you got something from this conversation. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all those who are watching. Thank you for all those who are going to be watching in the future.
Yes.
And hopefully you can
replay.
get online and whatever platform you listen to podcast, and check out LoveJames. Visit us online, www.thejameses.ca, JAMESES.ca.
Yeah.
Email us, podcast@thejameses.ca.
Hit us up on Instagram.
For more Love James on Instagram, for more Love James.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get Love James. But if you want more, for more Love James,
check us out there.
Check out on Instagram and on Facebook. So thank you very much. Stay connected.